unashamedly anti-imperialist, we know that NATO isn't about peace or security. It is an imperialist war machine that profits from death and destruction.
To some extent the NHS, but to a massive extent it's the poorest families all over the country where somebody, nearly always a woman, has to give up work, give up job, give up career in order to care for somebody in desperate need. I say, as a community, as a nation, we should be paying for social care, not thrust a bill of it on the people that can least afford it. And that, to me, could be, again, a major campaigning point that we will want to do as a party. Now, I, like all of you, love the idea that we have free education within our society, of course. It's crucial, it's vital, it's essential in every way. But it's being eaten away at both ends of the scale. Preschool education is largely not free. Many have to pay for nurseries, many have to pay for childminding and all the other issues that go with it. Primary and secondary, yes, is free, but increasingly secondary and university education, tertiary rather, and university education is incredibly expensive. And that's why I was very proud to put into the 2017 and 2019 Labour manifestos an end to university tuition fees and a restoration of the maintenance grant for students. Now, some people who should have known better said, well, all you're doing is subsidising middle-class students going to university. I said, you obviously haven't read the manifesto or read what the proposals are. I want every student to be able to make a genuine choice whether to apply for uni, go to uni, get a degree or not, but not based on their ability to pay, not based on their ability to stand with a £70,000 or £80,000 debt when they come out of university. And it's not as if it's a gift to them. If somebody studies in university and they become a great engineer, they become a great teacher, they become a great administrator, they become a great doctor, whatever. We all benefit from an educated society. We all benefit from their education. So it's a principle that goes into it. And I was on a Zoom call with a whole lot of people last week, mainly teachers, talking about the stresses that teachers go through the way Ofsted operates, and talking about the stresses that school students go through, both at primary and at secondary school level. The stress of Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 testing. Come on, guys, let's just end it and allow teacher assessments instead, and not these horrible levels of stress placed upon them. And in secondary, we've become obsessed with league tables. Now, I love the Premier League table. I love it all the time, particularly this week. It looks fantastic for an Arsenal supporter. Sorry about that. I knew I'd lose the audience somewhere. But there you go. But if we judge all of education on the basis of league tables, judge it all on the basis of competition between schools, it's great for those students that do really well. It's really great for them. But what we're doing is dismissing the life chances and opportunities for so many 13, 14 and 15-year-olds by putting them into a stream situation, by not allowing them to apply to all the GCSEs they might want to. And we then lose them from the possibilities of what they could contribute to and achieve within our society. I want to see education much more teacher-led, pupil-focused, but above all, let's develop and encourage the creativity and the ability of our students, not just in maths and science, but in music, in art, in culture, in dance and theatre as well. And because of the way in which school funding is so badly run at the present time, schools often don't have the after-school clubs and facilities they used to have. And you all know that key period when teenagers come out of school, probably before the parents, guardians, the rest of the family have come home, that hour and a half when they come out of school can be a great time, it can be a wonderful time, it can be a creative time. But where I represent, where many of you live or come from, you all know what the dangers are of kids getting into bad things, bad company, drugs or whatever else because of the temptations that are there. We need positive, useful things for young people to be able to do when they come out of school, not just be forgotten or thrown into only commercial opportunities or commercial entertainment. And so that's why I was very keen in both our manifestos to put forward the concept of a national education service which would give democratic control over education, reinstate the power of local education authorities and take away the power of the market in the academies, the power of the market in the colleges, and the power of the market to so destroy the virtues of universities by turning them into playthings of the arms trade when they should be there investigating and investing in more productive things. There's so much we have to do. So our party, your party, is going to be for all of those things, I hope. And also, I hope we will understand that there are limits to what humans can do to this planet. We cannot go on pouring pollutants into the sky, increasing levels of CO2, destroying biodiversity without there being a price that we all have to pay. Therefore, instead of walking away from the environmental agenda, I want us to walk towards that environmental agenda and say we will support net zero by 2030, and we will also not threaten people's jobs in this. We will actually encourage protection of jobs in what are polluting industries while those industries convert into something more useful. When we were doing the Green New Deal agenda, Becky Long-Bailey and I did a lot of Green New Deal meetings around the country. Some of them were absolutely fascinating. You pull together a couple of hundred people from all sorts of different walks of life, divide them up so they don't know each other, because that way they're forced to talk to each other and express their points of view rather than chatting about personal business between each other, and talk about how they could make their town, their city, cleaner, greener, more efficient, and better hope for the future. Absolutely fascinating. The ideas that are there, what the bus driver said, what the train driver said, what the street cleaners said, what the small businessman said, and so on. Again, your party, big, local, community-based, we can be the ones, in reality, driving an environmental agenda in every town, every city, and every village in this country. We will be the creative heart of what happens within our communities. That's why we want this vast new party, yourparty.uk, to be active everywhere in the country, whatever the current political complexion of those communities and those societies. Now, as one who's got a great deal of experience of dealing with the media in this country, and what a wonderful, wonderful media industry we have in this country, it's just sometimes they don't always look for the right story. And I'm sure it's just a lack of diligence in some way. But it always seems to me slightly surprising that every single utterance, every single movement, every single cough taken by Nigel Farage requires to be reported in real time on every one of our live television broadcasts. The wall-to-wall coverage of the negativity of Reform UK, the sheer stupidity of some of the things they say, the deep ignorance that they demonstrate towards so many communities is never, ever challenged by our media. But anyone on the left, oh good, it's very different then, isn't it? Always attacking trade union leaders, always attacking politicians of the left, always attacking those on strike without ever giving the other side of the story. So what I want to see is a more democratic media, a more accessible media, and a right of reply in every one of our media platforms when attacks are made on individuals. And so when Farage and others routinely use the most disgusting and disgraceful language against refugees and asylum seekers, and report those people demonstrating outside asylum hotels like it's a perfectly normal and reasonable thing to do. I look at it in a slightly different way. I have been to Calais on a number of occasions. I've spent a lot of time talking to people in Calais. They're poor. They're sometimes mentally confused. They're all desperate, and they're all trying to survive. I've met people there that worked for the British Army in Afghanistan, and when the Taliban took over, they suddenly had no friends. Certainly not amongst the British Army that they'd once worked for, certainly not amongst the new government, certainly not amongst the warlords. They were just victims of global politics and a global war. So they went to try and find somewhere safe to live. So it's very easy to denigrate the different. It's very easy to denigrate those people that are totally up against it. But let's think of it another way. Different world, different time, different society. Any one of us could be a refugee. In 100 years' time, books will be written, novels will be written about the heroism of those that escaped from appalling human rights abuses, wars, environmental disaster, and so much else, made their home somewhere else, and made a great contribution to that society. So can't we, instead of this denigration of people trying to survive, do two things? One is treat them like human beings with humanity, and secondly, look at the causes of war. The wars we have been involved in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and so the list goes on and on. And it just breaks my heart, the numbers of people that lost their lives trying to cross the Mediterranean, trying to cross the English Channel, and so on. It's not right. And so we have to be brave and be prepared to speak up for humanity. It won't always make you universally popular, but sometimes doing the right thing doesn't make you popular, but in the end, it's still the right thing to do. And today, the people of Gaza are hoping, desperately hoping, and I've just had messages from people there, desperately hoping that there's going to be some kind of ceasefire, and at least that will mean the killing will temporarily stop. But Zara is quite right what she said, that the British sale of arms to Israel, the component parts for the F-35 jets, the constant use of RAF Akrotiri and RAF Dekalia to deliver weapons to Israel, the sharing of security information with Israel, the training of Israeli forces in Britain have all contributed to the acts of genocide. I was at the International Court of Justice to hear the application from South Africa, and last week I was in South Africa to support their application and their legal actions and compare the experience of them going through apartheid with what the Palestinian people are now going through. And it was a fascinating experience and wonderful people. They've done so much in support of the people of Palestine. But the Trump plan, it ain't a plan for peace, that's for sure. It's 20 points, and I'm not totally convinced that the esteemed President of the United States read beyond point 10, actually. But, you know, he may have, his eyes may have wandered down the page to 17 or 18, who knows. What it means is, as of now, even if the preliminary part of the agreement is adhered to, Israel still controls 55% of the Gaza Strip, which is a tiny piece of land where 2 million people were trying to survive, where 60,000 known deaths have occurred and many more have occurred. We've got to go a lot further. And it's not up to Donald Trump and others to sit around in the White House and decide what the future of Palestine is. It's a bit like the Treaty of Versailles, where they all sat round and drew lines on the maps and decided which European power was going to have which part of the Middle East. There were no Palestinians around the table, just like in the Congress of Berlin in 1884, which divided up Africa. There was not one African voice or presence around that table. So this is kind of 18th, 19th century colonialism that we see in operation. And Tony Blair being appointed the Viceroy of Gaza. I mean, I would imagine somewhere in the Liverpool Museum, you've got one of those Viceroy's plumed hats with the feathers and so on top. Can you lend it to Tony Blair? So when he goes to Gaza, he can walk ashore and say, I'm your Viceroy, I will govern you. Come on. Do we believe in the independence of Palestine? Do we believe in their rights? Do we believe in their participation? Or is it going to be once more just a place under occupation? And so I know it's expensive and I know it's hard work, but whatever you can, try and get to the demonstration in London on Saturday the 11th. We want to make it the biggest ever march for Palestine this country has ever seen. And I will certainly be there. And there are so many other issues of international importance that relate to so much of what we do. If we as a country spend 13 billion a year more on armaments and a new generation of nuclear weapons and a whole new security idea that we have a global reach as a relatively small country on the global stage, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to local government spending? What's going to happen to housing? What's going to happen to social services? What's going to happen to education? You know, I know. Every single one of those services will face cuts in order to spend more money on weapons and more money on going to war. Can't we have a government that's dedicated to try and bringing about peace around the world by looking at the causes of war rather than going to war all the time? And so, we as a party have been founded, and it's going to be given the seal of approval, I hope, by the people of Liverpool at the end of November when we have the founding conference here, is to end the triopoly of economic thinking, of social thinking, of global thinking by the current Labour government, by the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives. We will be that alternative voice. We can bring unity to communities. We can make our party part and parcel of the very fabric of every community in the country. Because when you fight to win a nursery, when you fight to save a hospital, when you fight to close a road from dangerous through traffic, all those kind of things, when you fight and win, it might be a small local victory, but you feel so big and so good at the end of it. You go on to victories after victories, and that's what we're trying to do. Mobilize people to end poverty, injustice and inequality within our society. Create a society not based on misery and racism, which is what's offered by Nigel Farage, but a community based on the lived experience of all of us, the strength that we all bring together to achieve that better, cleaner, fairer, greener world, a real socialist world. We have unity of ideas, unity of action, and above all, that will create unity of hope for the people of this country. Thank you very much.